Well, here we are again on a Monday morning, and we're talking about victorious Christian living. Um, to live victorious lives, we must understand what victory looks like and how it is measured in God's eyes. And sometimes I think we don't recognize victory when we see it. We see images of pastors and teachers and lay people and speakers and motivational people, and they're perfectly dressed and groomed and talking about all God is doing in their lives, and everything seems so perfect and easy and comfortable for them, and it makes us really feel like losers, doesn't it? It makes us feel like in the midst of our battles and our troubles and the things we're going through, we're not victors, we're just losers. These guys are the winners. Those images warp our expectation about what victory looks like. And then we don't see it when it's right in front of our very eyes. We don't even recognize that victory is right there. Because Nehemiah was called by God to do a great task, we may expect that that meant that he would go to Jerusalem and achieve his task without incident. See, we think if God calls us to something, that somehow he's going to make it easy for us. He's going to make it he's going to pave the path for us to achieve that victory. But let's read about what happened next. Nehemiah 4, 15 through 18. When our enemies heard that we were aware of their plot and that God had frustrated it, we all returned to the wall, each to his own work. But from that day on, half of the men did the work, while the other half were equipped with spears and shields and bows and armor. The officers posted themselves behind the people of Judah who were building the wall, and those who carried materials did their work with one hand and held a weapon in the other. And each of the builders wore his sword on his side as he worked. But the man who sounded the trumpet, he stayed with me. So today, as we talk about persevering through obstacles, I want to talk about understanding victory, understanding what victory looks like. For Nehemiah and for every great victor in the scriptures, including Jesus Christ himself, victory meant facing and persevering through incredible obstacles. It wasn't comfortable. In fact, it was exactly the opposite. Victory is forged in the furnace of discomfort, opposition, and sacrifice. A few years back I read a biography of Abraham Lincoln. I don't know if you've ever read about his life or his presidency. He achieved an incredible victory. He preserved the unity of our country in the midst of civil war. He was an amazing man. But the thing that made the deepest impression on me in that biography is actually very difficult to read. I almost wanted to put it down a few times because his life was so difficult. His presidency was miserable. No one seemed to be on his side. This poor man, he was criticized and attacked ruthlessly by so many people. His generals were incompetent. They refused to obey his orders, and it caused more death, and it prolonged the war even longer. He couldn't count on anyone. His life was under constant threat. He was eventually assassinated, but even before that, he was constantly threatened. And even his wife's family were from the South. His wife's family would come to the White House and not talk to him because they hated him for what he was doing. He was thoroughly miserable. He suffered from depression. He had great attacks of self-doubt. He hardly slept. During his presidency, he grew gaunt and skinny. You can see in the paintings of him from the beginning of his presidency to the end, you can see how he changed. And in the end, he was assassinated. And he died. And you know what? After all that, I don't think he ever even knew the true impact he had in shaping the values and character of this nation. He was hardly the image of what you might think of a person living victoriously. If you had watched his life, you would not think this person was living a victorious life. And yet today, I think he himself would probably be amazed if he came back today and saw how he is revered in this country, if he went and saw the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, if he understood how much people honor what he did. It's just amazing to think of how his conviction and his faith and his courage to persevere through those things achieved victory even as he didn't realize it. So today I want to ask you, have you ever considered that some of your deepest frustrations could potentially be the source of your greatest victory? That rejection and criticism could actually mean that you are doing the right thing and that you are honoring God. That victory may not always feel good, but the reward comes in persevering through obstacles and bringing honor and glory to God. Consider this in your prayers today. Ask yourself if there's a victory that you are not seeing in your life. Is there a place that God is using you that maybe you don't even recognize it right now? Think about where God is achieving victory through you in your life right now. And enjoy your day. God bless.